Okay, so I've back stepped and I've landed in this position with my double wrist lock. As I say, I use my thumbs. I don't know why I shouldn't use my thumbs really. I'm sure there's some aficionados out there that will tell me why I don't use my thumbs, but I use my thumbs because they allow me to grip, and I'll show you why in a second. I use my knee to slide this leg out. Graham's nicely giving it to me, and I turn my hips over. I'm going to go a little bit catch on this one, in the fact that I turn my hips over and I'm going to drive into him. I'm pushing him across the ground, driving off my toes, and we'll look at that in another video. My other knee goes to his hip. Alright, this is really pinning him, stopping him doing stuff. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the double wrist lock finish. I'll look at two different methods of the double wrist lock finish. I'll also look at a Kimura in another video. Okay, so I grab hold of my wrist. The first thing I do when I get to this position is keep everything tight. My body has to stay tight. One of the methods of escape for Graham is to get his hands together. So I don't want this hand getting in the way if I can possibly help it. If he's strong, it may well do. One of his other methods of escaping is to grab his own shorts. Keep that tight, or put his hand on the inside of the thigh. That's another thing he can do. One of the other methods of escape is to bring his knee up the inside of my elbow and just force it off. Yeah. All these things become very difficult, not impossible, if I do this properly. So I'm holding his wrist, I'm holding my wrist, and keeping everything really nice and tight. I'm lifting his shoulder by tensing my bicep and lifting his shoulder off the ground. I'm going to turn his wrist underneath his own armpit. So if you see what I'm doing, I'm turning his wrist underneath his own armpit. So I'm reinforcing it with my body. Once I get it here, I start driving in that direction and force his wrist underneath his shoulder to get the tap. I'm trying to keep as much pressure on the shoulders as I can to get the tap. That's all I need. Okay, I'm hitting his rotator cuff. It's not a Kimura. Okay, I'm putting that underneath his armpit, and as you can see, Graham is tapping. Okay, one of the things that the guys will do is, if they're really brutally strong, he will straighten his arm. I keep hold of this and I keep my chest pressure on. What I do is I lift the shoulder. The shoulder is actually out of alignment now. He's actually forced his own shoulder out of alignment. And what I do is I just keep maintaining that drive up to above his head. And again I get the tap. There's no need to go to a straight arm bar or do any of that stuff. I can just take his shoulder out of joint. The bigger the guy, the easier that is. And if I force his wrist outwards, so for this one I force it in, for this one I force it outwards, see I'm taking it that way, the quicker the tap comes. So it's a good reason why my uncle taught me to keep my thumbs really nice and tight. Another way you can escape is grab his shorts. Now if he grabs his shorts, the Kimura comes impossible, or it becomes really hard. Watch what I do though. With the little double wrist lock that I'm teaching you now, all I do is I just keep turning. He has to let go. He just has to let go. Okay? Because I'm pulling against this direction to bring it underneath his armpit. It's a different way of doing things.